What's going on, Jeromes? We're back. Happy Monday out there, everyone, everywhere. Daily Jeromes, a live stream coming at you 11 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday, talking Vikings, talking draft, talking some wildcard weekend stuff, talking some nonsense. Thanks for coming along, making it part of your day. All right, so we got like 100 questions, so let's get through them. Matt Carpenter, prediction time. Who signs Taylor Heineke this offseason? How big is his contract? I actually think that Washington re-signs him, because you got Scotty Turner as offense coordinator. He's the one who advocated for Heineke here in Minnesota. He's also why he ended up in Carolina for a hot second. So I think he'll stay in Washington. And with Alex Smith's future up in the air, and with Washington sort of being out of range for a QB of the future, it could be Heineke. Now, I don't think that he's going to break the bank. They're not going to use a franchise tag on him. But could you see like a 2-year, $32 million deal? Somewhere there, maybe a little bit more. Be a good payday for Taylor Heineke, babe. Jens Harold Claudius. Last year you did a full offseason simulator for agency, draft, etc. Don't remember the name. Fanspeak. Are you doing that again anytime soon? Yes. It's always so funny. Like, whenever we do a Fanspeak, people are like, hey, why don't you use PFF or the Draft Network? And we use PFF. Hey, well, how come you don't use Draft Network or Fanspeak? And then we use the Draft Network. Hey, how come you don't? Nah. We'll use them all. We love them all. R. Freed. Did Ev put a wedge between Zim and Kirk? Does this maybe make trade Kirk? But no, I think if there was a wedge, it was already there. Like, I feel like Kirk knows that it was Spielman and ownership that wanted him there. Zimmer sort of whatever, right? And I don't care. Like, they don't have to be lovey-dovey. They don't have to go get dinner, but just have a good working professional relationship is fine. Pulford Skull. At least the Vikings could march up and down the field against the Saints. My gosh, the Bears are awful. Trubisky ended up with 199 passing yards. 92 were on the final drive. So funny. Zach Petey. Do you think the Vikings will have hope at Deshaun Watson, and will Everson Griffin be back ever as about Kirk? Probably low. I think Deshaun Watson goes in Miami. I think that will be a fait accompli. And then Everson, probably not at this point. Gavin O. We need to pick up Zaven Collins as ever on the field and a crazy athlete. Yeah, Zaven Collins, a pride of Tulsa. If you can, rewatch Tulsa versus Cincinnati. So Desmond Ridder against Zaven Collins. That was a hell of a game. It was a good game, man. And I think with Barr back, probably back, linebacker's not a pressing need for the Vikings, especially if they re-sign Todd Davis, and also with Connolly and Dye and Blake Lynch. But, man, Zaven Collins is good. Nick Bolton's good. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he's less a linebacker than he is like a big safety. Like, he sort of is the Isaiah Simmons of this draft, but, a smaller version. But yeah, he's good too. Tyler Newman. With all the Watson trade talk, now the Dolphins are thrown into the ring for contenders. How about this trade? Trade Kirk to the Niners for second. Trade second and third for Tua. Miami sends assload of picks for Watson. Texans be in full rebuild. I would be okay with that. That is in the hopper of videos to make. Like, it's not on the list of things, because I'm a big fan of Tua. Like, I understand that people are down on him because of the whole recency bias, but I mean, Tua's still recovering. Like, Tua is not 100%. Like, he's maybe 90, 95%. But, I mean, people forget how good Tua was at Alabama, too. Tyler Newman. What does Griff say? I'm tired of the Everson questions already. No. Now, he said what everyone's thinking, but you can't say it. Pulford Skull. Stefanski, that was one fine game coached from yourself. All these former Vikings coaches balled out tonight. Briefer did a good job filling in. Question of Browns, better without OBJ, and should they trade him? Agree or disagree? I think they'll just cut him, because I don't think there's much of a trade market with his contract, so I think they'll just cut him. But actually, with his injury, I wonder if there's any injury guarantees on his deal. Let's actually look. OBJ. So getting into like acronym debate, it's like I know that Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ, like, makes sense, but I really liked ODB, Odell Beckham, ODB. Dirty Man is back. Come on. All right, let's see here. Oh, rest in peace, ODB, by the way. Oh no, I clicked on the ad. It's always annoying. They have the X like in the corner, just like, yeah. Anyways, all right, so contract. So I got a roster bonus. Is his 2021 salary guaranteed? Oh, it is injury guaranteed. So 12.791 of his salary is injury guaranteed. So if he can't pass a physical in March, I mean, he gets that. So it's a little bit dicey. I mean, torn ACL is relatively early in the season, though, so I guess we'll see. Next up, yeah, I don't think a team is trading for 14.4 or whatever his salary is, 14.2, somewhere in there. Next up, may as well be 15.2. Cribbage, love it. Leonard, 2006. Instead of giving Trubisky Ponder the MVP of the Nickelodeon, he should have gotten the LVP least vote. I forgot about that, man. That's why, kids just the fact that Trubisky, like, unless the kids are like they have a big sense of irony. I mean, that could be it too. Just for the LOLs. Mono casual. What's up with Everson? First, I'm guessing Latavius Murray does not get enough respect. He could be a starter at half the NFL team's most underrated running back in the league. Yeah, I love Latavius. Like off the field, like in the running back room, he's a great leader. Set a great tone. One of the big reasons why, he set a good example for Dalvin coming up. That's why Dalvin's a team captain, great team leader, great influence in the locker room. Murray is good in what they ask him to do. Like he's a situational guy. He's not really a short yardage guy per se. But he is a solid all-around running back, can pass block, can catch. No, he's really, really good. Elijah Alsop. Do the Vikings still have a chance for Deshaun Watson? Probably not. Ezekiel Lockhart, number 1. I thought it was hilarious. Everson, yes. Number 2, you got 2 minutes to win, down by 5, no timeout, season playoffs on the line. Jeff George or Jay Cutler? I'm going to go Jay Cutler just because it's funnier. Yeah. Also, so Jeff George... Like his teammates straight up just did not like him. So I read the Bruce Arians book, the QB Whisperer, and I believe like one of the first seasons he was in Indianapolis, his quarterback was Jeff George, or maybe I'm getting locations wrong, but Jeff George, and BA was talking about, hey Jeffy, you got to build up a rapport with your teammates, especially the offensive linemen. Why don't you take the offensive lineman out to dinner? And Jeff George was just like, why? Just doesn't get it. That's something I respect about Kirk is that, we didn't hear about like Christmas gifts for the offensive line this year, but was a couple years ago he got them all grills, like high-end $2,000 grills. Now it's part of a sponsorship, sure, but yeah. So I believe Emmitt Smith, like one of his early years, he bought his offensive lineman Rolexes or something awesome like that, right? And then after Emmitt became Emmitt, and got a big contract and become one of the best running backs in the league, he gave all of his offensive linemen like a copy of his book, like his autobiography. But yeah, in general, like teammates, it did seem like they did like Cutler. Plus Cutler's like way better TV anyway, so man. Rudy Peel. What are your thoughts on Talanoa Hufanga, safety from USC? I think he's really good in the box, coverage-wise, sort of hit or miss. You know, in terms of like lazy comparisons, if you wanted to say Harrison Smith adjacent, sort of there. But I actually think that his coverage skills are a lot more lacking than Harrison's. Harrison is phenomenal as a deep safety. Man-to-man is sort of whatever, but also, can't be perfect as a safety, right? But, yeah, as like a good, like almost like a third outside line. Well, Hufanga would be better as like a J-Ron replacement as opposed to wanting him as a starter. I think that's why his value is being depressed a little bit. So we'll see. Zach Farmer. With Cousins' extension, would next year be the better year to draft a quarterback day 1 instead of this draft to sit behind Cousins' final contract year instead of make him sit 2 years? It's possible, but also, if a quarterback's on board that you like, don't pass him up. Samuel Salinger Skull. What do you think is a chance in percent? At this point, 5%. Time. So should we stick and pick at 14 or trade up with our thirds and fourths and second? 4 seconds, plus if we traded... I think you'll see how the board plays out. I think that there's going to be a glut of talent, and if the right name falls, I think the Vikings could be in a trade-down scenario where you feel pretty sanguine or you feel roughly the same at about like a dozen prospects on board that if you can move down to the late teens, maybe even early 20s, recoup some draft capital, maybe get back into the second round, I think you would certainly feel fine doing it. Elijah Alsop. Would you draft Kyle Pitts at 14 if he falls and Pay is already drafted? Maybe use him more as a wide receiver 3. That'd be interesting, man. All right, so if you move on, so I think people get effed up when they talk about Kyle Pitts as a tight end. Yeah, because you look at some mock drafts, they're like, well, why are the drafted a tight end in the top 10? He's not a tight end. Like, he rarely lines up in line. In fact, maybe he lines up in line about 20% of the snaps. I don't know. I'd have to check. I looked it up once. But, yeah, he is an absolute monster. Like, you look at the way that Oakland uses Darren Waller, or to a degree the way that the Chiefs use Kelsey, even though Kelsey is a phenomenal inline blocker. That's going to be Kyle Pitts. Yeah, so yeah, people complain about drafting a wide receiver in the first round, but man, if they went Pitts, there's a way to use Pitts and Irv and Gronklin all together. Absolutely, there is. M. Cascano, are there any current Vikings that have choice words about Kirk after they leave? We have already seen it from ever since Stephon. I feel like there probably is more, but I mean, guys who are still on the job, probably not. Kevin Ace, I don't know how these players find extra eligibility. We got 6-year seniors. Yeah, that's a unique thing. So like Desmond Ridder going back. Oh, no, Desmond was a true redshirt junior. But guys like De'Ara King, guys like Dustin Crum from Kent State. Just like, what? Yeah. Thorvald Von Johnson. Could Everson... lashing out because the Vikings clearly won't be back in Minnesota. I guess it's possible. So, like, he finds out through his agent. Like, his agent inquired, and then they were just like, no. And then his agent was like, hey, no. And then he's just like, yeah, it's possible. Time. Plus, how could Herbert win when Justin friggin' Jefferson made the Pro Bowl All-Pro and broke the single-season rookie receiving record? How? Yeah, that's a good question. Where Herbert, yeah, sure, beat a bunch of rookie quarterback records, except they're low for a reason. And also, congratulations for throwing for 4,000 yards, just like 10 other quarterbacks this year. Nurse Rad G. Colts traded their first rounder 14 to the Niners for an All-Pro defensive tackle. Thoughts into the same round, proven commodity, O-line, D-line. Well, Buckner is interesting because he was an All-Pro, but he was coming off his rookie deal, so he was on the precipice of getting paid. So that's why the Niners traded him. Can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Like, I have to do some research, but no, that's a good idea. We actually might steal that as a video idea. So next up is Leonard 06. It was funny how Cordero dropped the F-bomb in Nickelodeon. That was pretty funny. That was good. Hey, let us know where you're watching from. Give a couple shout-outs. See, Rudy Vincent Van Hatten, Michael Kendrick's ex brother, played well for Washington last night. Thoughts on the Vikings corner free agency? Well, they could have had him several times before, but they decided not to go with it. So, I mean, they might have their reasons. Or maybe Eric's like, yeah, I don't want it. I don't want to play with my brother. I mean, some siblings are like that, where they clearly love each other, but the idea of playing together, meh. Mr. Penguin 321. Let's say we release Anthony Harris. Well, he's a free agent. Do we start a rookie or sign one on a practice squad or draft a new free safety? Start a rookie. I think they'll probably draft one, probably rounds 3 or 4. I think he'll have an opportunity to start. I think Luther Kirk, as well as Josh Metellus, will be in the mix as well. Tristan, odds of the Vikings trade for Deshaun Watson, 0.9. Mr. Penguin 321. If JJ didn't have the year he had, but Diggs still did, do you think that the trade outcome would have made fans angry? Yeah, certainly. Like, if Justin Jefferson had a season like, I don't know, like Jerry Jeudy. Well, Jeudy had his moments though. All right, if he had a season like Henry Ruggs, where it's certainly up and down. Well, no, even worse than that. Say he had a season like KJ Hamler. Well, Hamler had a 2-touchdown game. No, he had a season like... he had a bad season. Yeah, it certainly would be ramped up. Let's see, a couple shout-outs. Rainudo Skull from Gus Davis. What's going on? Purple Rain Skull from Wausau, Wisconsin. Pulford Skull, Snowy Nashville. Hot Chicken, what's up? Rayshawn Ivory, St. Paul, had a baby boy. Hey, congrats, man. Boy dad. It's a lot of fun. Samson Romaine Skull from St. Anthony. Shit. All right, you guys are the best. Thanks for coming along. Next up is Diego Sid. Shane Jensen, Mankato State Community College. Get your 2-year degree. And Mankato, baby. Luke Gillette, Cedar Falls. Nor Tesseract, Panama. Mick Houlihan, Seoul, Ireland. Bagarla, what's up? Diego said, is Hugh Jackson a good coach or solely a offensive coordinator? Also, what team should be interested in Zach Ertz? Teams that should be interested in Zach Ertz, Patriots. Zach Ertz would be a great Patriot, by the way. Although they did draft 2 mid-round tight ends, although they're sort of, whatever. Ertz to the Patriots. They won't go in division. Otherwise, I would say Cowboys. See, Ertz and the... God, could you imagine Ertz with Kittle? I mean, that is way too much money to sack into the tight end position, but man, that'd be stupid. Well, if the Chargers move on from Hunter Henry, Ertz would be a great fit there. If Deshaun sticks in Houston, if they find a way to get Ertz there, that'd be a good fit. I know that the Colts have Mo Alley Cox and Doyle and Trey Burton, but yeah, if he rehooks up with Frank Reich in Indianapolis, be a good get. All right, how about just Ertz and Wentz to Indianapolis? Make it Philly West. Next up, Hugh Jackson. Yeah, Hugh Jackson is a good offensive mind. He's a horrible head coach. Because also, God, I forget what it was. Was it reporting during when Freddie Kitchens got the Browns job of just Hugh is sort of, as a leader, was sort of petty, sort of aloof, just not a good manager of people. Nah. But unfortunately, he's just coordinator. Gavin, I need to draft Kellen Mond. If you as a 3rd round pick on him, it's worth it. I still don't know what to make of Kellen Mond, man. So I've watched every snap of his for about 7 games. And I mean, he was like a 3-4 year starter. I still don't know if he's good. Like, he certainly has some upside and he certainly has flashes, but there are some games where he just falls on his ass. So I don't know. Elijah Alsop, would you try to sign Barrett this offseason with the Bucks? I'm go. That's an idea. Ooh. There's always money in the banana stand, but also if you sign him, you're probably going to have to extend Danielle. Freshen up that deal as well. Evan Conway. Next week, the Rams are going to get 6 sacks. MVS will drop 5 balls, and the Rodgers will request a trade Jacksonville. That would be ideal. Love it. Thorvald Von Johnson. Mark Sonberg. Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Elijah Aesop, Forest City, Iowa. What's up? What is up? Purple Rain, Winnebago Country. And there you go. Next up is Tanner Klopp. What's the Vikings cap situation? Do the Vikings have enough to pay Danielle Hunter, or should we trade him? Well, you can certainly over the cap. Well, you could certainly extend Danielle, and actually you could probably lower his 2021 cap hit. So it's Vikings $9.1 million in the red, but that's with the projection of $180 million cap, which it may not dip that far with the 17th game, but also everyone prorates up 1/17 higher, so or 1/16 higher, I guess. But yeah, the Vikings can do a lot of things. So let's just run through the calculator real quick. I'm always worried about these ads on like Over the Cap and Spot Rack, and just like, yeah, we're gonna get blue screen to death here pretty soon. All right, so Vikings calculator. All right, so 9.1 in the red, and then just do a couple of simple moves, which are likely going to happen anyway. So we'll say, and we'll just do cuts. I think they may cut Reef. All right, so we'll cut Reef. We'll cut Rudy. We will cut Dalvin. Just kidding. We'll cut Stefan. Cut Dan Bailey. And we'll cut Skulkwit. Skulkwit was kind of booty this year. All right, so the Vikings go from $9.1 million in the hole to $14.9 in the black. But, of course, that could shift because we don't really know what the 2021 cap is going to be quite yet. So, yeah, that does free up some things. So that would free up, what, 24 million, just like that, in moves that are very likely to happen. Next up, Liner Skull. With Ritter gone, which quarterback should the Vikings go after? All right, so Ritter went back. Derek King went back. Sorry, I got Desmond King on my mind because we just trashed Jaleel Johnson. I mean, the audacity. The audacity. Let's see here. I will say, well, Kellerman is intriguing. I like Ian Book. Even though, a lot of people really don't like Ian Book, but I like Ian Book. Jamie Newman, be intriguing where he ends up, unless he opted out again. I don't really know. Actually, I got to look. I got to look at this Jaleel Johnson thing. It's just trash, man. In fact, all Vikings defensive linemen should just, yeah. Next. Dominic Whetstone, what is the most underrated draft pick in Vikings history? Eric Kendricks is a second-round pick. That one's pretty good. John Randall, UDFA. Also, he would have been on the Bucks, except they wanted him to play linebacker, and he was like, no. Noisy Boy, would you take Deshaun Watson for first this year, second next year, and next year first? Yes. Joe Stupka, how big of a concern is Ardarius Washington's height? I mean, not much. Like him, well, 5'9", 5'10"-ish, sure, but also him being primarily a free safety. I mean, it's less concerning. Like if he was primarily a box guy, sure, but nah. Chris Danny Hansen. How about we call Breeze versus Tom Brady the Geezer Bowl and Packers Rams the 12-year-old bowl? I can get on board with that. Yeah, I think the Bucks are going to beat the Saints. Like, it is hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. A skull from SFSD. You say we'll have Kirk for 0 or 2. Which way do you lean those 2 scenarios? I think most likely the Vikings run it back for 2 more years. I do. Now, do I agree that's the best idea? Well, if the Vikings are in win-now mode for 2021, yes. I do think there's a possibility Kirk not the starting quarterback at the start of 20 season. I think that a lot of things would have to be in place. I would put that as less than a 4% chance. Luke Gillette, you see that Trubisky won the MVP and Nickelodeon vote? Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Luke Neeson, will Drew Brees retire after this year? Yes. Who do you have making the Super Bowl after seeing the wild card weekend? I don't believe in the Rams, but we have to this week as they go up to Green Bay. I feel like the Bucks are a really good team, especially that defensive front 7. And it's Tom Brady in the playoffs. Like, even though Tom Brady's 43, 44 years old, I don't care. Don't care at all. So I actually like the Bucks. The Saints are a really good team. It's cool that the Bills and the Ravens, for their fan base, they each got a W. But Browns going to Arrowhead. That's going to be tough. Although, I mean, the Chiefs towards the end of the season weren't looking like the Chiefs. Mahomes is not looking like Mahomes. So my head says Saints, Chiefs, but my heart says Rams, Browns. I don't know. That's what's fun. R-Free, favorite Viking celebration for me, B-Rob hook set, Dante's rolling, Evan Hunter door kicking in. I liked when they did the limbo. That was a couple years ago. Duck Duck Grey Duck was good. But just like in like signature dances, Jared Allen's lasso, that was great. Especially when he had to modify it when he couldn't put his knee on the ground. That was funny. Dominic Whetstone. Would you rather the Vikings play all noon games for the next 10 years or all prime time? Noon. Yeah. Routine. Jacob Mejia Megat. Do you think they will change the backup quarterback? And if so, because if they play in all prime time, so that's either, mainly Sunday night or Monday night, as some Thursday nights. So that throws off practice routine, throws off sleep schedule, throws off travel time. So, screw that. Jacob Mejia Megat. Do you think this will change the backup quarterback, bring back up Kirk Cousins? Well, Manny's a free agent. Maybe they'll roll with the kids. Maybe they'll draft a guy. But I don't see them bringing in anyone of significance. Connor Spies. Do you know the Saints are like $90 million over the cap 2021 16 season? Yeah, it's so funny. So That's so the Vikings are usually always pretty tight up against the cap, but the key is the amount of dead cap that you carry on your books, and that's the genius of Rob Brzezinski. So a little to no dead cap means that you have flexibility. If you have a lot of dead cap, that means that is there. So you look at Big Ben is going to be 22 million dead against the Steelers cap if he retires next year, no matter what. It's about 20 with Drew Brees next year. The Pats were in a bit of cap hell this year because of Tom Brady's contract. So, yeah, that's the genius of Brzezinski. Miles, what are the knocks on Pay, Rousseau, and Aziz? So, Pay, I guess health to a degree. Because of the hamstring, although I don't really count that against him. Pay, I guess he doesn't have a true position where he could play all positions relatively well. You can play close side defensive end. You can play open side. But he's not really. Actually, no. Kwity Paye is a damn good prospect. Let's be honest here. Rousseau would be a lack of bend on the edge, but like we talked about, we sort of changed our mind. Rousseau, because if the plan is to use him all over, then he certainly shoots up in value. Like if a team who drafts Rousseau uses him like the Colts used DeForest Buckner, where he's inside, he's outside some of the time. Absolutely. Aziz. So Aziz, even though he's small, he's good against the run. He's a little bit light for a 4-3 defensive end. He's sort of in the mold of Yannick the Freak. But if you have it as a stand-up outside linebacker like a Von Miller, I think that's perfect. But I guess refinement, because he doesn't quite have the hands, but of course he's a redshirt sophomore, so he's still learning the game. But the physical tools to just get around that edge, that speed, it's uncoachable. So once Aziz learns how to use his hands properly, it's going to be gross. It's good night, Irene. Mike O'Knight. I feel for Minnesota sports fans. Spoiled to be from LA. I'm still a Vikings fan since the early 90s. Really going to enjoy all my Vikings fans going to root for the LA Rams. That's right. And also the Vikings almost moved to LA. Or, that was a Red McCombsism. Tristan. Should the Vikings get OBJ in the offseason as wide receiver 3? Nah. Just draft Tutu Atwell. Just draft Jalen Darden. Just draft Elijah Moore. Just draft Daz Newsome. Apex Legend Gamer. Is Watson going to the States now that Breeze announced playing retire? That would be a get. That would be the get. Although I don't know how they pull it off cap-wise. Because even though hashtag cap is a myth, if you got that much dead cap, it is not a myth. Because anyway, if Micah Parsons falls, do you take him? Yes. Yeah, if Micah Parsons on the board of 14, and it isn't because he killed a guy, yeah. Jeff Knopp. If somehow our beloved Vikings could have a draft simulate similar to last season, a grand slam, Jefferson, home run, Dantzler, triple, Gladney, a stand-up double, Cleveland, which position would you prefer? I would take an offensive lineman, just in general. Actually, no, if we're being specific, I would take 2 guards, defensive tackle, a 3-tech, and then an edge rusher, and then a safety. So 5 things. There you go. Abza Abdi. Greg Romez, new OC, and Newton for QB2. I think Cam is washed. I think everyone knew that Cam was washed last year, and he proved it this year. Diego said, what's your opinion on expert Charlie Walters? It's using the term loosely. About the Vikings trade up at 10 to picking Trey Lance, sort of all the Chiefs did with Mahomes. I wouldn't be against it, but also I don't put much stock into shooters' mock drafts. Rohan Kumar. Does Mike Hughes have a future mini? Well, he's on his rookie deal, so he's probably going to be here next year. They don't pick up his 5th-year option. I say have him become a return specialist. Derp E. What's worse, the Vikings at Christmas this year or the Bears wildcard game? The Bears wildcard game was worse because it was just boring. Like, the Vikings game was exciting, even though the Vikings were getting their ass kicked because the offense was putting up points, and I actually wanted to see towards the end, like, can Kamara get 6 or 7? Like, can it be that bad? Also, well, Kamara, he should have caught one of the touchdowns earlier. And then, of course, when they had Taysom Hill running, why did you give the ball Kamara? Easily could have had 7 or 8 total. Fani, Vivikand, Kenadalam. Nailed it. Should Nathan Lynn be hired as OC? I feel like his offense lacks leadership and he's an alpha. Well, the problem with Allen is that he really only has 1 season of true play calling experience. He called plays intermittently when he was head coach of the Chargers. But I do like Allen. I feel like he may be best as like a running backs coach. And also, do not let him near time at all. Like him and Zimmer managing the clock would be just less than ideal. Braylon McGreevy. Do you think the Vikings should take a quarterback in the first round? I think they'll be out of range of the big four. I think Mac Jones and Kyle Trask will be on board at 14. I would understand taking Mac Jones. I would not be on board with Trask. Christine Hansen. Did the wild card game surprise you? Let's see, surprise. No, I expected the Bills to beat the Colts. I expected, I guess Rams. Yeah, especially when Wolford went out. But yeah, Seattle was who we thought they were, certainly. Now, Washington and the Bucks played out the way we expected, except for Taylor Heineke putting up the good fight, baby. Old Dominion, let's go. Ravens and Steelers, I expected that to be a street fight. I did not expect the Ravens to shut down Derrick Henry the way they did, but props to them. Props to Wink Martindale. What was the middle game? Oh, Saints Bears. Yeah, that's exactly how I expected it. And then the night game, that was not what I expected. I was rooting for the Browns, but without Stefanski, without Bitonio, I did not expect that. But I think everyone knew that the Steelers were frauds. Like even when they're 11-0, we're just like, this is the worst 11-0 team in NFL history. Like they're booty. They can't run the ball. They're one-dimensional. The offense is hit or miss. The defense can certainly get got. Like if you take care of Watt, I mean, what else really scares you, right? But yeah. Corey Medias. How likely is it the Vikings pick up Bill Callahan? He's probably not going anywhere. It's probably going to get taken care of pretty nicely in Cleveland. Jens Hans, Harold Claudius. But although as an OC, a play caller, that would be intriguing. Which NFL team outside the NFC North do you dislike the most? Saints. My dislike of the Eagles sort of waned. Well, it's not so much the teams. It's always the fans. Yeah, so screw the Saints still. Yeah. Joshua Queen. Evanson. Yeah. Mason Dean. Could you use fan speak? Yes. Jeff H. What are some of the under-the-radar players to watch in the college championship game? I like the Ohio State tight ends. I like Olave. Olave, I think the Ohio State wide receiver could sneak into the first round. I could. Could he leapfrog Bateman? Just because Bateman is sort of whatever this year before he opted out for the second time? I don't know. I think he might go ahead of Rondale Moore. See, Bama. Barmore. So, Barmore's draft stock is highly varying. Like, he could go first round. He could go late day 2. But I really like Barmore. And honestly, if you had to settle for Alabama linemen are like always like the fine settle for me. Like if the Vikings end up with Leatherwood or Barmore in the first round or Landon Dickerson in the second round, perfectly okay with that. Or yeah, if they maneuver in the second round. But also, so there's Alabama has a utility defensive lineman named LeBrian Ray, highly recruited coming out, just never really found his footing. He's a bit of a nose tackle, 3-tech hybrid. They use him all over the place. He's been a rotational guy. His role, now this shouldn't count against me. His role sort of reminds me of Jalen Holmes when he was at Ohio State, but less, not used on the edge. But as a sort of jack all trades, master of none, but certainly a high end potential. I think he is going to be there day 3. But just getting that guy who's been in that program with that pedigree, I mean, absolutely. Why the hell not? Griffin Career. Do you like Jordan Smith from UAB? I think that he is intriguing as an edge rusher. You like the height. Well, is he 6'6" or 6'7"? He's one of the two. He looks like he's got the length. That's what she said. But yeah, the knock on some of the small program guys is level of competition as well as technical refinement. But also, God, who'd that? Oh, Stacey Keeley. That's right. The UAB defensive end that they brought in as a UDFA, I believe in 2018 or 2019. Dude is like 6'9", which is hilarious. But yeah, Jordan Smith, Malcolm Kuntz. There's another one. There's like a handful of like small school edge rushers that are certainly intriguing in terms of betting on traits, betting on potential. Day 3, MJ the GOAT. Should we get Mac Jones? Why or why not? I would be okay with it, but I think that he's a good player. I'm not sure if he can be great. Like, I think that his ceiling is Andy Dalton, and that's not an insult to Mac Jones. Anthony Trevino. Should we draft Marvin Wilson from Florida State? Yeah, man. Marvin Wilson a couple of years ago, like, he was going to be the guy. Like, he was going to be a top 10 defensive tackle. Like, Marvin Wilson was supposed to be Derek Brown from last year, but highly variant since then. But, yeah, the high-end upside is certainly there for Marvin Wilson. Max Caliber, Kurt to Pittsburgh. Ooh, that is a thought. With the amount of dead cap that they have, I don't think they can swing it. JJ Davis, what's your second favorite team? The Rams. Shane Jensen, would you rather burn to death or drown to death? Well, are you conscious the whole time burning to death? Because when people burn to death, they generally like pass out from smoke inhalation. But yeah, I guess I'd rather drown. Yeah. Thoughts on Jay Tufele? Like, I like him as like a general, like well-rounded defensive tackle. Like, he's not a premier penetrator. But he is solid against the run. I think that he's sort of like Barmore, although Barmore is a much better pass rusher. Just in terms of a back end of the first round, high end second round, just like a solid all-around defensive tackle. Yeah. Gavin Bauer, free agent predictions. I think that they do scrape together money. I think they go after one big free agent name. Now, is that Thuney? Is that Scherf? Is that Leonard Williams? Is that a cornerback? TBD. Seth V. Herman, bring Taylor Heineke home. No. Sam Rosalogist Goal. Who's going to win Super Bowl? Browns? God, that would be great. That would be so, so great. Although we get even more Baker Mayfield commercials, so I guess maybe not so much. Andrew Kelly, why are the Vikings so bad? That's a good-looking question. Joe Stupka, thoughts on bringing in Danico Autry or Justin Houston over Everson? I love Griff, but he needs help. Yes, he does. Autry's, sort of meh on Autry, but Houston is, no. What do you want all the Colts? May as well bring Buckner. Shane Jensen, pizza or tacos? I guess pizza. So we have pizza every Friday. So obviously that's part of our repertoire. But also, like, you don't really get an itching for pizza like you get an itching for tacos. You know what I mean? Like, and also, like, Taco Tuesday certainly can't go wrong. But like, there's something visceral, especially like if you're in Mexico or in an area that makes really good tacos, like LA or Texas. Just when you get that smell, when you get like that lime juice, that carne asada, you got the toasted corn tortillas, homemade, made with the masa, just getting it, just like, yeah, like you get like a physical reaction to like that. Whereas pizza, maybe we're almost desensitized to pizza, where like, even if we go into a high-end pizza shop, it's like, man, this smells good. But it's not like a animalistic urge. It's like, I have to have taco in 10 minutes or I'm going to murder someone. You don't really get that with, you get that with steak. But I actually think that that's like an ingrained, like genetic, biological thing. Because meat, fire, brain just like, me want that. Me good that. Me eat that. Yeah, I think that's part of it. We answered that one. Thorvald Von Johnson, who's the worst quarterback to win the Super Bowl? Peyton Manning. Yeah, I think that's the answer. Peyton Manning in 2015 when they beat the Panthers, because he was not good. But also, like, he was good at getting them into the right play. But like him as an actual passer, I know everyone rags on Trent Dilfer and like Brad Johnson, but they actually played well in their respective Super Bowls. Well, because there was blowouts, both of them. But yeah, 2015 Peyton Manning was booty. Sean Johnson, do you think Kubiak might retire from coaching so he become new Broncos GM and reunite with his old friend John Elway? Well, I know that he was in the front office with the Broncos from 2017, 2018, except he doesn't really have the personnel experience. So, no, I think Kubiak just wants to go back to the ranch out in Texas, just sort of quasi-retire, get on the phone, FaceTime with Clint, help him with plays a couple times a week, That's it. Live the good life. Let's go. All right, so that's the Daily Jeromes live stream. You guys are the best. Thanks for coming along. Let's go. Subscribe for Daily Vikings Takes. We'll be back tomorrow. Skull. Production value.